I had another good use case for you that's around something called WhatsApp. And you all know when we use WhatsApp, there are two things. One is many e-commerce companies, many customer-focused brand wanted to give support on WhatsApp, right? Or maybe make their customer support channel or some sort of a, let's say, first level bot on WhatsApp itself. But there is a problem with WhatsApp. What is that? WhatsApp has official APIs available even if you come inside make.com. Let me move out of this, discard all the changes. Let's go back. And if I start from scratch, create a new scenario. If I click on, or let's say if I try to search on WhatsApp, see what happens. There's something called WhatsApp Business Cloud, right? This is one of the official APIs of WhatsApp. Now, it has all kind of event. It says watch event, trigger when a new message received, send a message, send template message, upload media, do multiple things over here, verify sender and so on. But the problem with this whole API is it's a paid API or it's the official Meta API which cost you to run this. So let's say if I go here and I'll say WhatsApp official API pricing, a normal Google search, I scroll down, I reach to something called business.whatsapp.com. Let's click on this. And this is the official page where you can go and check out all the functionalities, pricings, and everything about official Meta WhatsApp API, right? If we go down, see it says simple and transparent pricing, scroll down, 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 and there you see there are four type of things which you can do or how they classify WhatsApp messages in our daily life. One is called marketing message, second is utility, third is authentication, and fourth is service, right? And accordingly, they do pricing in all those various different categories. So if you look out this, it says WhatsApp rates or message rates. It is a per message rate. So first you want to, it's going to ask you which market you want to send this message. Market means which is the destination country. So if I choose, let's say for example, India, and here it says select the currency, in which currency you wanted to see the pricing. So if I go here, most of us are from India only, I'll say Indian rupees. Now what it does, in case of authentication message, WhatsApp is going to charge you per message 11.5 paisa or like this much amount of rupees, right? If I click on marketing message, then it is going to charge you almost 78 paisa, like 78th part of a rupee, right? Then here is something called utility. Then it is going to charge you 11.5 paisa. Again, service message, there is no cost to service messages, but there will be a category of service message as such. And then authentication international, someone from international, like if from India, we're going to do any international authentication, it's going to charge you almost 2 rupees 30 paisa. At the same time, if I go, let's say you wanted to send message to North America and you wanted to have rates in US dollars. Similar way, you can say authentication message is going to cost you this much. Marketing message going to cost you this much. Utility and so on. And when your volume increases, this cost become really high, or it is like a big budget which you just have to maintain on WhatsApp itself. So that's where it simply break your bank. And we can obviously configure everything about WhatsApp, but it is a paid thing. Along with this, when you try to set up this WhatsApp API, there are some hurdles, there are some, I would say, limitations or bottlenecks. So let's say if I click on this create WhatsApp webhook documentation or something, if I click on online help, there is a long document or long requirement which you have to pre-fill or have a prerequisite before you even try to use WhatsApp official API. What is that? You have to get into Meta business account or business suite. From there, you have to create something called WhatsApp Business Cloud. And then it start from making a WhatsApp Business Cloud application, give it a connection name. You should have WhatsApp like account ID is there, something called WhatsApp account ID or WhatsApp integration ID that has to be generated. And alongside that, you will have to work with templates. Template means if you're sending a message to someone at the first time, it has to be template message. It has to be defined or structured as a like a predefined template approved by Meta, approved by WhatsApp company, like or WhatsApp, let's say people, and then only you'll be able to send these messages to mass people. Now, with all of these hurdles, not many small businesses would want to use WhatsApp over here as an official API. Now, what is the solution? There are plenty of different jugards, plenty of different arrangements also available in market, which can make your personal WhatsApp, which you use on your mobile phone, or your WhatsApp business application that you use on your mobile phone, they can make it connected with API. Now, what is the fundamental? How that can be done? Because essentially, if you know, if I have WhatsApp on my own account or let's say on my application mobile phone, I can simply scan that WhatsApp and have my entire WhatsApp session going on over here. Let's say I just open this web WhatsApp into this particular browser window and all my chats can be listed over here. Or I can use WhatsApp as an FC here. All of these things are coming up like this, all the chats, right? At the same time, if I wanted to download a WhatsApp application, I can simply go here, download a WhatsApp app, and simply scan one of the QR code and create my session on this particular WhatsApp business application on my desktop, right? These are two ways how we can either use WhatsApp on mobile phone or on these kind of browser version or this kind of a web-based application or desktop-based application. Now, what some smart people did is they say, since you're anyways scanning WhatsApp over here, why don't you scan WhatsApp on our server-based application on their servers? And what they say, we are going to control this entire application through our server. So whenever there's a message coming in, they can fetch that there is a new message came in your WhatsApp from this application or from this browser session itself. If you're trying to send a message, they will simply open this particular chat and they will send your message by controlling this browser. But what you have to do essentially, you have to scan one of your WhatsApp QR code or one of your WhatsApp copy on their server. That's the precondition. If you can give them your WhatsApp session, then they can simply control your WhatsApp all in and out, both kind of chats. Now, where it helps, the WhatsApp official API does not work with groups, but this WhatsApp unofficial API prepared by these other people, other companies, it can also work with groups. It can work with almost all kind of conversation, everything. The drawback or limitation or risk is there are two important risks. Number one is if you're using these Jugaad APIs, these kind of arrangement APIs from any unofficial companies, the biggest risk is about your data. See, they have complete control of your WhatsApp on their server. So they can read this data, what is coming in, what's going out, and so on. So that's data security is one of the risks, which even Meta does not recommend, or I would not recommend as such. The second part is if you overuse their service. For example, you try to send maybe 1,000 messages every day through this unofficial API, then WhatsApp can easily detect that you're not doing a manual action. All of these WhatsApp applications supposed to be used by humans by hand, by manually, right? Otherwise, they say if you wanted to use API, this much price and use your APIs, whatever you wanted to do, just sync up like this. But if you send 1,000 message right from any APIs, any those Jugaad or let's say these kind of unauthorized things, WhatsApp can easily detect and it can suspend your account or it can permanently block that number as well. So if you try to overuse, there is a risk. And second is your data is already being shared with them, so they can do things. So in case if you wanted to go with those kind of, let's say, unofficial APIs, always look out for company, look out for the reputation, and then try to use WhatsApp with the given limitations. So that's the whole context of it. Now, we are not going to set up this WhatsApp official part because it will be a little longer, but I'll quickly showcase you how that can be done. So there is a platform called developer.facebook.com. If I click on this, it will, and why Facebook? Because ultimately WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, all of these are applications of Meta. And Meta has this common business suite or developer suite that is called Developer for Meta. So I can simply log in here with Meta developers. And all of these steps are anyways already defined on the make.com support document, on the guide document. So you can follow one by one each of these steps and you can build your connections. But essentially, since I log in here, I will have to create a new application and then I'll have to choose I wanted to use WhatsApp services for this app. So let's say it's a little longer process. I'm not going to complete this because I don't have any number to configure and start now, but I'll quickly show you. So I'll say WhatsApp test app, then I can move next. Okay, it should not have WhatsApp. So I'll say what test app next over here. Then it is asking me what kind of things you wanted to use. So create ads using Thread API, using Facebook APIs, and so many other things are there. I'll simply say others. I don't want to get into any of these Facebook and Instagram kind of things. I'll move forward. Then it's asking me, do you want to do it for business or customer? So it's for business, which has business pages, managers, and everything. Then it is asking me, what is your business portfolio? I can simply go with Grow Stacks, one of our brand name over here, and then I can create application. So little longer, little complex, lengthy process. It will also require you one mobile number, which does not exist on any given WhatsApp at this time. And then once you create this application, I'll just go back and I'll showcase you how this app look like. Give me one sec. Then you have to enable WhatsApp APIs. And then you have to configure everything inside make.com as well as inside this whole app for the permission level from the Meta or Facebook. Let's say if I click on this particular app, which I created earlier. See, this is where it says enable WhatsApp application, API setups over here. And you can even access more and more applications or APIs from here, but grant NVI point and so on. And then WhatsApp number has to be configured, other things has to be done. But essentially, you got the sense that official WhatsApp API is a lengthy and expensive process. Now, as the second workaround, what we have is there are plenty of services available out there in market which can control your WhatsApp from the unofficial APIs. One of them is something called Timeline.ai, a really good platform to work with and a little trustable as well. So you can simply click on pricing and I'll quickly show you. It can cost you about $25 or maybe $10, something like that. I'm not sure why they raised this much, but earlier when I saw the price was hardly $8, not more than that. Or maybe I'm looking at something different. So it is hardly $8 to $10 pricing for India and maybe $25 for the US or global markets. What it can do you, it can simply give you this kind of an interface when you get inside Timeline.ai. It will ask you to sync your WhatsApp over here. So once you come here, it will say, okay, scan your QR code and give us one session of your WhatsApp over here in this particular application, right? Currently it says my number is connected and it is online. Now, as soon as I connect, what happens? It is going to list all of my chats on their server. See here, all of these chats are already listed over here. Austin, like these are multiple clients, and this is actually our WhatsApp, which we use for all of the client interaction. So Austin, Simge, Peter, Ivan, and so on. And plenty of groups as well as plenty of one-to-one chats are also available, right? So this is what this unofficial API does. It can control and it can have everything over here. Now, what we are interested in, we wanted to build a kind of WhatsApp chatbot using OpenAI, which can help us to respond to our chats without me being involved into any of these one-to-one interactions. So what I can do is I can go back to make.com and I can start automation workflow from here. Now, essentially, two things. One is I wanted to get notified as soon as any message received inside timeline or inside my WhatsApp over here. Right? So this is my normal WhatsApp. I can simply delete this chat so I can start from scratch. Done. And as soon as anything comes out, it should give me a notification on my make.com account. Now, for that purpose, it has something called webhooks right over here. See this on the left hand side. And if I start my automation workflow with a webhook, I can go here. I'll say go to webhooks, do this, and there's something called custom webhook. I click on this. I generate a complete new webhook from here, and I can configure it inside Timeline AI. So I'll say Timeline AI WhatsApp hook, right? Or maybe something like this. And I say click save. So here I created a URL which can capture events from timeline.ai, or other way around, timeline.ai can send all the message notification to this particular webhook to trigger my automation workflow. I say copy address, save this thing, start this automation workflow, click save, and I'll move out. Now, what I have to do with URL, I can simply configure this URL inside this webhook over here. So let's click on webhooks. And if I go there, I already have one webhook here. I can delete it to restart everything from new. And see, I say add endpoint. And someone was asking, I think Praveen was asking that how to configure things into web application, or when we do that, how it is going to work with us. So essentially, see here, it has webhooks over here. And since this is web application, what it says, add your endpoint, add your webhook URL, and choose what kind of events you wanted to get on your webhook from this particular Timeline AI. So if I click on this add endpoint, it says, give me the endpoint URL, nothing but the WhatsApp, the webhook URL. I can simply copy and paste. See, HTTPS hook.eu.make.com, and the whole hook URL is also given. Now I said endpoint is activated. Yes, that's right. Now I can choose what kind of events I wanted to get notified on this webhook. So I say event type, and there are plenty of different event types available. See here, right from new incoming chat, there is a chat started, outgoing chat, someone is assigned, unassigned, and so on. And there's something called message received new. That means if someone is going to send me a message, which is a new message, the webhook should trigger and deliver all the data on my hook. So I can choose this one. Otherwise, rest everything is not very much relevant for me. So I'll say add endpoint, and this entire addition is done. It says webhook endpoint successfully added. Now, if I go here, this webhook is not get triggered at this point. But what if I send a message to that given number? Now, number can be, let me see, what was that number which I was using? Perfect. See this one. Let's send a message to this one. I'll say, hey, and let's see what happens. This webhook should trigger from that timeline.ai. Perfect. See here, the trigger came along with data. Earlier, we were trying to structure data from Google Sheet or maybe from that URL. But in this case, since it's connected directly inside a web application, see here what happens if I click on this. It get me all the data pushed by that particular web app. Let me zoom in and see here. There is something called chat. Who sent that? Full name is Manish M. Chat URL is this. There is chat ID. There's a group ID. Then the phone number from which it's being sent. responsible name is this, the person's account number, whatever, email and so on. Then it is sending me a couple of more information. And then see here, it says text is hey. Whatever I wrote there, it's getting me back on this direction. This message being received by this WhatsApp. Origin syncs from WhatsApp, timeline, timestamp, and so on. Who's the sender? Who's the recipient? So sender is this phone number ending with 155. Receiver is this phone number. Attachment, there is no attachment, right? So the whole data sent by Timeline.ai on this webhook is also getting delivered over here. And essentially, this whole data was into this kind of a JSON structure at the backend, right? So this is being pushed by the Timeline.ai as system into this particular WhatsApp. Now, since we are getting things over here, I wanted to send these messages into ChatGPT and say, can ChatGPT process them? So if I click here, I get, and you can use anything, right? ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, whatever AI you want, Gemini and all, you can use any one of them. It doesn't make any difference. But essentially, I'm going to use ChatGPT over here. Now, in case of ChatGPT, which is going to become my brain of this whole WhatsApp conversation, I get a couple of things over here. I get, see, create a model response, then something will create a completion on chat. So chat is a completion is good thing. Else, I can also go with message and assistant. Now, what is assistant? Are you aware about custom GPTs? Answer would be yes, right? We all saw custom GPTs here and there, everywhere across internet. So custom GPT, if I open chat GPT over here, see this one. This is my account. I got plenty of custom GPTs over here, phase-based planning, automation answers, and so on, right? Now, all of these custom GPTs as well as this main GPT is workable or is usable only on web interface, right? But what if I wanted to use it on API? So simple is, if I want to use it API, I can go with create a completion, and that becomes only my create a completion with prompt. I can give it a prompt and input, and it can process that particular request. But what if I wanted to use this custom GPT on APIs? This cannot connect with API. It has only web-based or UI-based usage. So in that case, I have to go to openai.com, the backend of GPT, and over here, something called API platform, right? Now, what it does, it's going to give me a flexibility. I can work with GPT APIs. See here, everything is like this. And then if I click on dashboard, it gives me an opportunity to create something called assistant. And assistant is nothing but the custom GPT on APIs. You may have a question, can I connect this custom GPT? Answer is absolutely no. You have to have this OpenAI platform. You should create an assistant. Again, I'm telling you, which is nothing but exact replica or exact infrastructure of your custom GPTs. So if I click on this assistant, I have an option called create. If I click on create, it gets me a couple of basic things. You create a custom GPT, same way you can do things over here as well. So we can give it a name. I'll say gross tax EA board, for example, like this, gross tax executive assistant board. Now, similar to custom GPTs, I can make or I can give it any system instructions. I can choose which model I wanted to work with, and I can also add files over here. So these files can be referred as a knowledge base while it is trying to respond to any query or any particular given responses, right? So all of these things can be configured exactly similar how we configure our custom GPT, right? Now, I tried to create something yesterday at gross tax assistant bot, and I gave it a couple of instructions over here. You can see the instructions are, it should work with WhatsApp as in WhatsApp assistant, and then core identity and behavior like this. Communication style should be friendly, casual, polite, and so on. Company information is also being written over here, as well as our services, our entire platforms which with we work, then our advantages, conversation guideline, and so on. So all of this conversation being given to GPT as a instruction as the system prompt. And along with this, I also added a file search. File search means like I added a knowledge base file about myself, who am I, what company does, what kind of portfolio we have, and so on. So this became a custom GPT on APIs, which is essentially called assistant. Now to run this assistant, you have to have API keys enabled. So you have to go here, like how we did at the start or maybe in the previous sessions on our skill. We have to get into API key, click on create a new secret key, and then you can just create a demo key. I'll say demo key 13th September. Default project is fine, and create secret key, right? This will allow you to connect your custom GPTs or any of the GPTs inside make.com. So if I go here, I say message and assistant, I choose this one, and then I can create or add a new connection. Now, I told you there are multiple ways to do authentication on make.com. So if I click on add over here, it is just asking me for the API key. as an authentication mechanism. So I'll say 13th September class connection, something like this, right? And then I can say save over here. So in this case, there is no on session authentication or nothing like that. It's fairly straightforward. Now, as soon as I add the connection, see here what happens. It is giving me a list of assistants. I can choose this and it's going to load the whole list of assistant over here right from my OpenAI account. And within this, there is something called Gross Tax Assistant Bot. This is something I just created EA bot, if you remember when I was starting this, right? So this was already pre-configured with knowledge base, with system-based prompts. I can choose this and then I can directly map any of these messages coming in from WhatsApp. So see here, as soon as I click on this, I get to see this message text, which I can simply map to this GPT. That's it. Since I already gave all the other inputs, I don't have to give any instruction, any extra prompt over here. I just wanted to send it a message which is coming in from my chat. When someone sends me a message, it's fairly getting in over here, right? And that's it, nothing else. In case if you wanted to maintain a thread means the whole context about this conversation. For example, when I say hi, the GPT is supposed to reply me that, hey, how can I help you? Then I say, I'm looking for automation services. Then it should reply me that, okay, we have plenty of good automation services available and so and so. So in that case, it should remember what I spoke so far with this particular GPT, right? If it knows, it can save everything into memory and it can run through the whole context-based conversation instead of treating every single message as an standalone individual message or individual input, right? So if you can provide a thread ID, in that case, it can simply go and refer the thread, and that thread can be referred and whole conversation can make sense, right? So even multiple people talking to the same GPT, they all can have their own separate thread ID. And each of the conversation GPT remembers, I'm talking person A until this level, person B something else, person C something else. And whenever that person replies, it is going to refer same context every time on the same thread. Let me click save. I don't want to run it like any thread. I don't have any thread, so I will just skip it for now. I'll simply say click save. That's it. For now, since we connected two things here, I connected my WhatsApp to receive all the messages over here. And then GPT is going to process them with its own knowledge base, with its own kind of instructions and predefined things. I don't have to configure any prompt over here. If I leave it open and then if I try to send the message, let's see, let me drag it to this. And here I say one more time, and hey, for example, this, right? It worked. See here, it triggered. And now GPT is going to process it. So what I got is the entire message, all of these things. It says, hey, and now this is being processed. It says, hey, thanks for reaching out, Grostex. How can I help you today? Right. Along with this, since I did not even give it any thread ID, it created a thread. If I leave it blank, it's going to create a new thread for every new conversation, every new request I send it to this particular AI. Now, for example, if I say, I'm just trying to showcase you basic things, and then we'll get into a more structured use case. I'll say, I'm looking for automation services. See what happens on this side. Perfect. Now it's getting triggered. And if I choose this, what it says, thanks for reaching out. See, hi, thanks for reaching out, Grostex. We help automate business repetitive tasks and so on. The stuff like data entry, email campaign, CRM, and everything. See, since I did not give it any thread ID, it is taking every single conversation as a new conversation. There is nothing on thread. The previous thread was done. Now there's and again it says, hey, thanks for reaching out to Grostex, which was not supposed to be done. It should have taken conversation from this point onwards, right? So essentially, first of all, thread should be given to this. So now, for example, if I copy this thread ID, I just put it here. So it at least remember it's all happening into one single thread. And I say, save this, right? Now, if I ask anything else, it will refer that conversation that it already did a greeting to me, and then it is going to answer a specific stuff to me. So what kind of process you're eating up your time today? I can click save, go back, and maybe add a couple of more things. I want to automate our lead generation process, something like this, right? Let's see what happens over here. Since it has a thread ID, it will remember at least these two messages, this one and this one. Now, if I click open this, that's a great idea. Now it is not asking again, hey, thanks for reaching out to Grostex. It came on the point or to the point on this whole conversation. If you can help automate lead generation, do you have any platform specific and so on, so right? So this was the first part where we gave it a thread ID and where we gave it the whole message input towards GPT. Now, how to restrict, like if I wanted to use this bot only for selective people, I told you a concept of filters and even routers as well, right? So see, this particular module has or is giving me a couple of things. Let's say chat, and I say chat is started from this particular phone number, or maybe when I say WhatsApp, the phone number is being sent as well. Who's sender, who's recipient. So I can say if the sender is equal to this or the sender name is equal to this, I can set up a filter over there. So let's say, let's copy this whole thing. And if I put a filter in middle of these two, I say if the sender phone number is equal to this phone number, then only allow it. Otherwise, just stop it here itself, right? So that's how we can put a basic logic, allow only chats from Manish for now, right? And I click save. Now it is not going to send any other messages after this point because it got stuck over here itself, right? So it's a basic simple logic. You can even add multiple phone numbers. You can say or rule or, and multiple people can be added over here. Else, you can also do multiple phone numbers or maybe multiple inputs together using something called match pattern. So if you go here, match pattern case insensitive, you can put multiple phone numbers alongside with a pipe symbol. So I say, for example, next phone number is this one. Next phone number is this. So you don't have to put multiple stuff. All can be taken care by this pipe symbol separated, and it's called match cases or match pattern, right? So this is how you can have multiple values compared with one single value. So my request is please try to explore all of these operators within make.com. They looks easy, but they can be lifesaver. They can be so much efficiency saver in terms of your day-to-day operations. So exist does not exist and so on. Very basic concept, but very, very helpful. So I can leave it now as it is. So I said only chat from Manish should go next, and then they all will be processed with that particular given thread ID. We'll come to this thread ID later on because there is something more to make it dynamic for multiple people or scalable for multiple chats. This is one, right? Then we wanted to reply to this message because currently everything is happening within the scenario. This reply is not getting anywhere out. Like this person, whoever is being chatting with this bot, is not getting any responses, right? So in case of timeline.ai, if I go to this one, where was this? If I go, currently we saw there's something called webhooks to fetch or to grab those webhook events which are coming from timeline to make.com. Now there's something called public API. And if I click on this public API has a whole full length documentation. It says public API documentation. And then if I click on this, see here, it gave me automatically, there's an access token, API token over here. So this whole token, which says authorization, bearer token, and so on. And there is a whole API documentation over here. How we can send message to existing chat, how we can grab message, update a chat, and multiple things. Now, along with this, there is something called get filtered chat history as well as send message in the existing chat. So I think this is relevant for us. Let's click this one. Once we head here, see what it says. It is having an API endpoint to send messages to the specific chats. And how to identify the chat? If you remember, I shown you, let's say if I click anywhere over here, there is a chat ID coming in, this chat, and there is a chat ID, this one, 409839974 and so on, which is going to be different for each of these chats. Whoever is sending message on these groups, it will be going to be a different chat ID altogether. So what API says, if you can provide me chat ID and do this post method, it will send message to that particular chat. So I can copy this whole thing from here. Now, if I add another module, I just try to search for Timeline AI. See here, Timeline AI for WhatsApp is already available within make.com. But somehow this module is not working at this point. So what I can do is instead of getting into this one, I can go with, and since this module is not working, their API calls are not working, I can go with this universal module that's called HTTP, right? So let's choose HTTP. And this is another good opportunity to see how API calls are working from make.com. If app is not available inside make, or if app is not working somehow, you don't have to bang your head over there. You can simply use HTTP, and let me show you how to configure it. Now, since we have an authorization token available right from, see, API access token is available over here. What I can do is I can configure HTTP. I can go down, 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 and I can simply say make a request, a basic request, right? Click on this. What is asking first of all? For a URL, which particular API endpoint you wanted to work with. So I say, I already copied the URL from my API documentation over here. It says API root URL, right? Now, within this whole thing, wherever you see any value into this curly braces, it is a placeholder, and you have to provide the actual chat ID over here. How can I do that? I can simply, first of all, remove this entire thing, this particular chat ID curly braces, and I can map it right from here, from this particular input, which is coming in on the webhook. So I click on this and see now this whole URL have this chat ID coming in from here. So obviously message comes and automatically chat ID will be part of it, and this can configure within this whole string. And since it is a mapping, it will become dynamic. I'm not going to hard code anything to send message to that particular chat. From wherever chat it is coming, the incoming message is getting in, it can automatically send message to the same chat, right? That's what the beauty of this mappings, right? Then what it says, it is supposed to be a post call. So within API documentation, there is something called method. And methods are different method. One is called get method. Get means you understand, right? So it means you are getting something from a given software. When you try to fetch information from softwares, it is get method being used. Then there is something called post. Post means you're posting or sending something to software. So in this case, what this API says, you should use the post method. Why? Because you're sending a message from make.com to this application. So it's supposed to use post. Now there's something called put and patch. They are used to update any existing record inside the system. So if you send a message, you want to update it, or you have a record, you want to update it, all those put patch can be used. Then there's something called delete. So that's also there. Now, apart from this head and this option, they are used for another level of API calls, which are not relevant at this point. You can just keep in mind get, post, put, patch, and delete. These are total 5 methods which are most relevant for almost any other API calls. So what it says, you should use post call. I said all fine. Then the system is asking, or not here actually, this is supposed to give you guidance as well. But what's supposed to happen? There's something called authorization. This authorization should take the authorization code or this bearer code, right? So I can do copy this authorization from here, and it is supposed to be put into the headers. Header means you are giving that bearer token or that access token into headers, so it can be verified that you are the valid user. Right? So let's click on this. I'll say authorization should go here, and then this whole access token, see here, even the authorization is over here, and this whole access token along with bearer should be copied, and we have to put it into the value. Now, sometime it can be bearer, sometime it can be just blank, only the token part from here to here itself. Or even if you're using API key, you may have to type in here called API key, right? That exact keyword, API key like this, right? So if you do this, then also your API key is going to work. Depend upon what service you're using, what kind of platform you're using. But essentially, this is how we do authentication part. Then we have to send it, like what text do you want to send to this particular chat? We haven't defined. What we defined until now, something called a URL, which API you wanted to work with. I said chat and messages. So send a message to the chat. Method is post method. Authorization is done here. But what exactly you are trying to pass or what exactly you're trying to send? So in this case, we have to define something called body. So let's click on body over here. A raw body is good. Then we have something called JSON application, because we are going to define this whole body structure into a JSON. And what kind of JSON? See here. It says this is your JSON structure, what you should supposed to send while you're sending this 200 this post call. What different things it has? One is called text. You should have a text message over here. In case if you're trying to send a file, that file can also have this file ID over here. Then label, chat name, attachment type, and so on. What is relevant for us is only this first text part, because we are only doing a text-based chat. So I can go here, I can say request content should be this kind of a thing, where we have it starting with curly braces, ending with a curly brace over here, and then I defined a key. Key is nothing but text which I'm going to send, and there is a hello world, which is by default value. I can simply replace this with the result coming from GPT, right? So this is how I can structure the whole API call. Once again, I'm repeating this right from top URL, the method, the authorization, and JSON kind of a structure for this whole text which I'm trying to send to this API call. Let's move on. So essentially, this is what we did. Now, along with this, there's something called parse response. What do you mean with this? Parse response means whatever response sent by or whatever reply generated by this whole API call should be readable or maybe structured in a proper way. How we did JSON parser earlier, same way it should be structured in a proper way so we can read it. And I can say click save. That's it. Now I click save over here and I go back and let me send another message right from here itself. I'll say hey, and let's see what happens. This auto, okay, why it got stuck over here? Maybe let me remove the filters for now, not required. I'll say this here again, just to showcase you the whole automation workflow, and then we'll discuss about other stuff. See that hey was sent, now it is working, done until this point, and it gave me a response. Hey, how can I help you today? Then I'll say I'm looking for some automation projects to be done in my company. Now it will have that context, and see that automation workflows keep on triggering on the back. Perfect. See, sounds good. We can view custom automation projects to streamline various business processes and so on. What a specific area is looking to improve? I'll say lead generation. Now this is supposed to run one more time and it's going to reply me. And this is becoming a whole conversation. See, it says perfect. We can definitely help you and so on. Are you using any tools or platform right now for that and so on? So this is how the whole chat can be handled by the system. And even when we trained it, we can say, if someone is asking for any meeting or maybe someone is becoming a more mature lead, then route it to CRM, put hold the entries into CRMs or maybe alert me on email or somewhere else. And this use case can be furthermore enhanced.